Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon you all. I'm going to share with you a passage from the Quran that describes some of the God names that is related to peace. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, by the name of God, the most merciful, the most gracious. هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون. I'm going to now try to translate it in English and explain a little bit what does it mean. Literally, this ayah or this passage mean, He is God. There is no God other than Him. The controller, the Holy One, source of peace, grantor of security, guardian over all, Almighty, the compeller, the truly great. God is far above anything they consider to be His partner. When I say source of peace here, I mean He is above and beyond all weakness, infections, and suffering. He is fully safeguarded and secure, and He is the source of peace and security for all mankind. It is mankind that needs peace and security from Him and through Him. When I mentioned the word compeller, it's a little controversial. What does compeller mean in this content when we are talking about peace? Compeller here had two different levels of meaning. The first one is that God will compel the oppressors, those who hurts other, and try and give back and other people rights, and stop those people, those oppressors, from taking others' rights. The second level had a different meanings. Compeller, which is al-Jabbar, mean that the one who reforms and the one who fixes the situations for His creations, and the one who heals others. This is a brief explanation of what this passage means. Thank you.
Thanks. So for the chapel message, what we're going to do is I'm going to interview Hind, which is a very generous thing for her to do, to share with you some of her experiences being a student here at Monmouth, how she came to Monmouth, and some of her thoughts about peace. I first met Hind when she arrived in my ILA class when she was a first-year student. Ren Tooley was very excited and told me to be on the lookout for her, that Hind was one of the top students in her university in Damascus. And at that point, Hind's English was still a little bit rough, and she seemed shy, although I've since learned that she's actually not as shy as she maybe seems at first. I remember, though, one of the projects in ILA, one of our themes was beauty. And so every student had to choose something that they find beautiful and write a short speech about it. And so I think one of your classmates gave a speech about his favorite baseball cap that he had for a long time, and another student talked about a recipe from sort of a meal back home, and everybody went, and you went last, I think, because you were nervous. And so Hind got up, and she stood in front of the class, and sort of haltingly held a Quran and told us why, for her, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. And you could hear a pin drop. The class was so captivated by Hind's words. Since then, I've had the pleasure of watching Hind flourish at the college, which is one of the great things about being on the faculty here. You get to watch students over 4 years. I watched her be part of an enthusiastic team from Monmouth, networking at an interfaith youth corps event in Chicago, and supposedly shy and quiet Hind, there was a large ballroom full of just hundreds of students from around the country, and she was absolutely working the room with her cell phone out, getting people's numbers and making good contacts. And then I enjoyed having her in my world religion class last fall. She definitely kept me on my toes, asking insightful and challenging questions. I knew I couldn't get any kind of simplistic answer past her. So I've enjoyed getting to know her, getting to know you, Hind, and I want other people to know her too. So she's letting me interview her for today. So the first question is, how did you come to Monmouth? What's happening in your country back home? How's your family?
What's happening in my country is a bloody conflicts. Unfortunately, there is war going on. After I got my high school degree, I started to search for a place who could accept me and give me the opportunity to continue my education because of the situation in my country that was limiting my opportunities. Fortunately, Monmouth was offering great scholarships for Syrians, and I applied and got accepted. And I still remember the first email from Dr. Brenda. She was grading me, and that email was very warm and intimate. And I packed my bag, left my home, and came to my second home here, Monmouth. My family, half of them are in here, Chicago. My father and my sister are still in Syria. I'm still praying for them to be safe and come here soon.
So Hind, has it been difficult to live out your faith while being a student here at Monmouth? Have you been able to keep up the practice of 5 daily prayers? Can you tell us about that?
Honestly, my expectations were that I'm going to face difficulty, not because of the people around me, just because I'm going to be there alone trying to struggle to do my beliefs and do my practices. However, since I came here, my advisor, ILA advisor, which is a religions professor, was very supportive to me. This chaplain office was very supportive to the Muslims group. They opened a praying room for us. And it wasn't as hard as I expected to be. The general community was welcoming, and their hospitality to know more about us was just more than great, I think.
How about, so I think you've been one of 2 hijabis, young women wearing the headscarf during your time here. So what has that been like?
It wasn't easy, to be honest, but it was a challenge for me to critically think and rethink why I'm doing that every day. And this was a great experience for me to between me and myself, to know more why I'm doing that every day and why I'm struggling, why I believe in it. And I think about it as an opportunity for the community, for the college, for the students around me to know more about what hijabi mean, why this girl is covering her hair. In general, I didn't face violence or, let's say, discrimination activity. However, there was a nice story when I was freshman. There was a guy who was really curious if I even have a hair, and he just came out and told me, "Do you even have a hair?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And he said, "Can I see it, please?" I say, "I cannot uncover it in public." And he said, "We can go to a room and you can show it to me." And I said, "Unless you are my father, my brother, my husband,